we need to talk about something that is fundamentally changing Las Vegas and driving tourists away in record numbers. It is not crime. It is not the weather. It is not even the overall cost of visiting. It is the hidden fees, the nickel and diming, the constant surprise charges that show up at every turn during a Vegas trip. From resort fees to parking charges to restaurant add-ons that make no sense, Las Vegas has transformed from a city that made you feel like royalty into a city that makes you feel like you are being scammed at every opportunity. This is not just about money. It is about trust. It is about the fundamental value proposition that made Las Vegas special, and that value proposition is dying because of fees. So let's break down exactly what is happening, why it matters, and what it means for the future of this city. Let's start with the big one, resort fees. These charges were introduced in the late 2000s, and they were initially positioned as a way to cover amenities like Wi-Fi and gym access. The fees started small, maybe $10 or $15 per night. But by 2025, the average resort fee on the Las Vegas Strip is between $35 and $55 per night before tax. After tax, you are looking at $40 to $62 per night added to your bill. Here is the thing that makes resort fees so frustrating. They are almost never included in the advertised room rate. You go online, you see a room for $99, and you think that is a great deal. Then when you check out, or sometimes even when you are confirming the reservation, you discover that there is a $45 per night resort fee. Suddenly, your $99 room is actually $144 per night, and that is before taxes. The Federal Trade Commission has estimated that resort fees generate hundreds of millions of dollars annually in Las Vegas alone. These fees are pure profit for the hotels because the amenities they supposedly cover, like Wi-Fi, cost almost nothing to provide at scale. It is not like the hotels are barely breaking even on these charges. They are printing money. But the real damage is not financial. It is psychological. When you book a room thinking it costs one price and then discover it actually costs 50% more, you feel deceived. You feel like you have been tricked. And that feeling does not go away just because you're in Las Vegas. It colors your entire experience. You start looking at everything with suspicion. You start wondering what other hidden charges are waiting for you. Travel forums, review sites, and social media are absolutely flooded with complaints about resort fees. People call it legalized scamming. They call it bait and switch. They say they feel ripped off before they even check in. And many of them decide they are not coming back. Mid-tier casinos have seen double-digit drops in occupancy since 2023, and resort fees are a major factor. Families and budget travelers, who used to be the backbone of Las Vegas tourism, are choosing other destinations where they feel they are being treated honestly. For decades, parking in Las Vegas was free everywhere. This was not an accident. It was strategic. Free parking encouraged drive-in visitors from California, Arizona, and Utah. These regional tourists would make weekend trips to Vegas, and they were a reliable source of midweek gaming revenue. They would fill hotel rooms on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. They would play slots and table games during the slower periods. They were essential to the business model. All of that changed in 2016 when MGM Resorts started charging for parking. Other operators followed almost immediately. By 2025, self-parking costs between $18 and $23 per day on weekdays, and it can go up to $30 or more on weekends and during major events. Valet parking is even more expensive. MGM alone makes over $100 million per year from parking fees. That is real money. But what is the cost? According to the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority, regional drive-in traffic has declined by 5 to 7% since 2019. Local residents have largely abandoned the Strip. Even people who live in Las Vegas will not come to the Strip casinos anymore because parking is not worth the hassle. Think about the symbolism here. You are asking people to pay just to show up. In a city that used to roll out the red carpet and practically beg people to visit, you now have to pay $20 before you even walk through the casino doors. And if you are a gambler who spends hundreds of dollars at the tables, there's a good chance your parking will not even be validated. You still pay. The message this sends: we do not value your visit enough to comp your parking. We care more about extracting $20 from you than making you feel welcome. That is a fundamental betrayal of what Las Vegas used to represent. Here is a fee that a lot of people do not even notice until they look closely at their receipt. Restaurants and bars on the Strip have started adding something called a concession recovery fee, or a CNF charge. This is typically 4 to 8% added automatically to your food and drink bill. Now, this is not a tip. It is not a tax. It is just pure additional revenue for the restaurant. The fee is often buried at the bottom of the receipt in small print, and many diners do not even realize it is there. A lot of people assume it is gratuity and then tip again on top of it, which means they are essentially paying twice. A 2024 Las Vegas Review-Journal survey found that over 60% of tourists felt confused or misled by unexpected add-ons during their stay. The CNF fee is a perfect example of this. You order a burger and fries. The menu says it costs $30. You get the bill and it is $32.40. Plus tax. Where did that extra $2.40 come from? There is a CNF fee at the bottom of the receipt. What is a CNF fee? Nobody really knows. It is just there. Social media has absolutely roasted this practice. There are viral TikTok videos showing $45 burgers with CNF fees that rack up millions of views. Yelp reviews commonly include phrases like scam charge or hidden fee. People are genuinely angry about this. And here is the thing. The CNF fee might only add a few dollars to your bill. It is not a huge amount of money in the grand scheme of a Vegas trip, but it is the principle. It is one more example of being nickel and dimed. It is one more surprise charge that makes you feel like the city is trying to take advantage of you. Economists call this friction cost fatigue. Each individual fee might be small, but the cumulative psychological impact is massive. If you need cash in Las Vegas, get ready to pay for the privilege. The average out-of-network ATM fee in the United States hit $4.86 in 2025, according to Bankrate. But on the Las Vegas Strip, some casino ATMs charge $8 to $12 per withdrawal. If you are doing a credit card cash advance, the fees can exceed $100 per transaction. Casinos argue that these fees cover maintenance and security costs. But let's be real. The fees are vastly higher than the actual costs. This is another profit center, and psychologically, it is devastating. Gamblers already expect to lose money at the tables. That is part of the deal. But now they are losing money just to access their own cash. It feels like the casino is robbing you before you even sit down to play. The Nevada Gaming Control Board has noted that per visitor gaming revenue has plateaued. One reason might be that tourists are gambling less because so much of their budget is being eaten up by fees before they even start playing. You withdraw $200 from an ATM, pay $12 in fees, and suddenly you have less money to actually gamble with. That affects the casino's bottom line, but they are so focused on the immediate fee revenue that they are not thinking about the long-term impact on gaming volume. Here is a fun one. You check out of your hotel thinking everything is settled, and then a few days later, you see additional charges on your credit card. What are those charges? It could be a minibar restocking fee because you moved an item, even if you did not consume it. That is $15 to $20. It could be an early check-in or late checkout fee, $25 to $75. It could be a sustainability fee or a linen recovery fee, $2 to $5. These charges are not universal, but they are common enough that they have become a real problem. In 2024, J.D. Power ranked Las Vegas hotels below national averages in guest satisfaction, citing hidden charges as the top complaint. For a hospitality industry that is built on trust and repeat visits, that is a huge red flag. When guests feel like they are being charged for things they did not know about or did not agree to, they lose faith in the entire operation. They start to assume every hotel is trying to scam them. They read every line of every receipt looking for hidden charges. That is not the mindset you want your guests to be in. You want them relaxed, having fun, and spending money freely. Instead, they are stressed and defensive. Remember the $1.99 shrimp cocktail? Remember the $4.99 prime rib buffet? Those days are long gone. Corporate casino operators have turned every restaurant into a major profit center, rather than a loss leader, to attract gamblers. By 2025, the average buffet costs $40 to $60 per person. A standard breakfast is $25 to $30 per plate. Cocktails are $18 to $22 on average. A bottle of water is $7 to $10. These are not luxury fine dining prices. This is for basic, everyday food and drinks. What used to be a way to keep people on property and gambling has become a reason for people to leave property or not visit at all. The UNLV Hospitality School has noted a shift of mid-market travelers toward Laughlin and Reno, where food and drinks remain affordable. People are literally choosing different destinations because Vegas has priced them out of eating and drinking. And here is the irony. By making food and beverage so expensive, casinos are actually hurting their gaming revenue. If a tourist spends $60 on a buffet, that is $60 they do not have to gamble with. If they spend $22 on a cocktail, that is money not going into a slot machine. The casinos are cannibalizing their own core business by overcharging for everything else. If you want to see a show in Las Vegas, get ready for the price to increase by 20 to 40% between the advertised rate and the final checkout price. This happens because of facility fees, processing fees, and convenience fees that get tacked on. For example, you see a Cirque du Soleil ticket advertised for $99. You go to buy it, and the final price is $135 or more. Where did that extra $36 come from? Just fees, not taxes, not tips, just arbitrary charges that exist because they can. Pool parties and nightclubs add mandatory gratuities and taxes before you even order drinks. A 2024 American Gaming Association poll found that 57% of Vegas tourists skipped at least one event due to unexpected costs. That is more than half of visitors choosing not to attend shows or entertainment because they do not trust the pricing. Smaller local acts and venues are hit hardest by this trend. When visitors lose trust in entertainment pricing across the board, they stop buying tickets altogether. They stop going to shows. They just hang out in their hotel room or leave the Strip entirely. That hurts the entire entertainment ecosystem in Las Vegas. Even gambling itself, the sacred core of what Las Vegas is supposed to be about, has been compromised by fee thinking. Blackjack payouts used to be 3 to 2. That is the standard. But now, most low-limit tables pay 6 to 5. That change raises the house edge by roughly 1.4 to 2%. That is a significant disadvantage for players. Electronic table games often charge $1 to $2 per hand just to play. Slot machines on the Strip have an average win percentage of 8 to 10% for the house, which means player return is around 90 to 92%. Compare that to off-Strip casinos, where player return is typically 94 to 95%. The Strip machines are measurably worse for players. Even complimentary drinks, which used to be a given if you were gambling, are now tied to betting volume through voucher systems. You have to earn your free drinks by gambling enough. That is not comping. That is just a loyalty program with extra steps. Longtime gamblers notice these changes. They call the new rules theft by fine print. The shift from transparent odds to subtle disadvantages is maybe the clearest symbol of how Vegas has changed its ethos. It is no longer about giving you a fair game and relying on the house edge to make money over time. It is about tilting every single rule in the house's favor as much as possible without players walking away entirely. Economists have a term for this: drip pricing. It means charging small incremental fees until the total cost far exceeds what was advertised or expected. Tourists have their own term for it: the Vegas Premium. And it is killing the city's reputation. Let me give you an example scenario. You book a room for $99. After resort fees and taxes, it costs $155. You go to lunch and order a $40 meal. After CNF fees and tax, it costs $55. You buy a show ticket advertised at $100. After fees, it costs $145. You withdraw $200 from an ATM. After fees, you have $188. Every single transaction costs more than you expected. It is not one fee that breaks loyalty. It is the accumulation. Social media sentiment analysis across TikTok and TripAdvisor shows a 40% increase in posts tagged Vegas scam since 2023. That is a massive shift in perception. Even industry insiders acknowledge the problem. A former casino executive told the Review Journal, "We traded loyalty for line items." That sums it up perfectly. Las Vegas casinos decided that squeezing every possible dollar out of each transaction was more important than building long-term relationships with guests. And now they are paying the price through declining occupancy, reduced visitation, and a damaged brand reputation. The consequences of this fee-based strategy are playing out in real time across multiple dimensions. Economically, mid-tier resorts are seeing occupancy declines. Tourists are substituting regional casinos, Laughlin, Reno, or tribal casinos in California, instead of making the trip to Las Vegas. Visitors who do come are cutting back on secondary spending. They skip shows, avoid restaurants, and gamble less because so much of their budget has been consumed by fees. Psychologically, there has been an erosion of what I call the generosity illusion. Las Vegas used to make average people feel rich and special. Now it makes them feel cheated and taken advantage of. Word of mouth has reversed. Instead of people telling their friends they had an amazing time in Vegas, they are warning them about all the hidden fees and surprise charges. Viral social media posts are actively discouraging first-time visitors. From a brand perspective, Las Vegas built its entire identity on value and excess. The city is now at risk of redefining itself as expensive and exhausting. That is an emotional shift that is far more damaging than any economic downturn. Once people start to associate Vegas with getting ripped off, it is very hard to change that perception. So the big question is whether Las Vegas can fix this problem or if the fee-based model is here to stay. In the short term, casinos will likely maintain current fee structures. They are banking on convention business and high-spending visitors to keep them afloat. The fees generate too much immediate revenue for them to abandon voluntarily. In the medium term, consumer backlash might force greater transparency. The Federal Trade Commission has been looking at mandatory resort fees and junk fees across industries. There could be regulatory action that requires hotels to include all fees in advertised prices. Some states might pass disclosure laws that force more upfront pricing. That would help, even if the fees themselves do not go away. At least people would know what they are getting into. In the long term, if visitation continues to fall, Las Vegas may have no choice but to resurrect its old value strategy. That could mean bundling fees into upfront pricing so the sticker shock goes away. It could mean reintroducing free parking, at least for hotel guests. It could mean rewarding loyalty through clearer benefits and complimentary services. Basically, going back to the idea that you make money by making guests happy, not by nickel and diming them at every turn. But here's the challenge. Changing course requires admitting the current strategy was wrong. It requires giving up hundreds of millions of dollars in fee revenue. It requires trusting that the long-term benefits of restored loyalty and increased visitation will outweigh the short-term hit to the bottom line. That is a tough sell to shareholders and corporate boards who are focused on quarterly earnings. I will be honest, the fee situation in Las Vegas makes me genuinely sad because it represents such a fundamental betrayal of what made the city special. Vegas was never supposed to be about squeezing every last dollar out of guests. It was supposed to be about creating an experience so fun and memorable that people wanted to come back again and again. The current model is short-sighted and self-destructive. Fees generate immediate revenue, but they are destroying long-term loyalty. They are driving away the middle-class families and regional tourists who used to be the backbone of Vegas visitation. They are turning the city's brand from a positive association into a negative one. I think the casino operators know this deep down, but they are trapped by their own corporate structures. They need the fee revenue to meet quarterly targets and service debt. They cannot afford to give it up, even if they know it is hurting them in the long run. It is a classic short-term thinking problem. What frustrates me most is that the solution is obvious. Be honest about pricing. Include all fees up front. Stop surprising guests with charges they did not expect. Treat people with respect instead of like ATMS. It is not complicated, but it requires courage and long-term thinking that seems to be in short supply among Vegas casino leadership. Las Vegas is not collapsing. The lights are still on, the casinos are still operating, and people are still visiting. but the city is bleeding trust. Resort fees, parking charges, CNF add-ons, ATM surcharges, inflated food prices, and gaming rule changes have all combined to create an experience that feels less like fun and more like getting nickel and dimed. The tragedy is that none of these fees alone would drive visitors away. It is the cumulative effect, the constant feeling that every interaction is designed to extract money from you, the sense that Las Vegas does not care about you as a guest, only as a revenue source. That feeling is what is really damaging the city's future. The Vegas Premium is now the city's most dangerous gamble. Casino operators are betting that tourists will keep coming, even when the magic costs twice what it used to and comes with a dozen hidden charges. I do not think that bet is going to pay off. Eventually, people will just stop coming. They will choose other destinations where they feel valued and respected. And when that happens, all the fee revenue in the world will not make up for the empty hotel rooms and quiet casino floors. What do you think about Vegas fees? Have you been hit with surprise charges that made you angry? Are you still planning to visit Las Vegas, or have the fees driven you away? Let me know in the comments. If you found this breakdown valuable, make sure to subscribe. I will continue covering what is happening in Las Vegas and how the city is changing. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.